Walking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. Thank you for making it here today. Walking Dead Eternal, the ones who talk, aka Takira, aka Connie Dixon for life, everywhere. The number 4 LYFE. And
Carranza's here too.
sorry?
Carranza's here too.
Carranza, David Carranza. Wow, that's all I see on the restream chat.
Carranza.
You know, my restream chat's not working right now.
Hello, Walking Dead Eternal.
I'm just going to boot this thing right up.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And so, with that, let's just say today who we are. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. And today we're here to talk about the 9th episode in the 8th and final spooky season of Fear the Walking Dead, titled Sanctuary. Oh, now my restream is working. Sanctuary. Oh. Yeah, there is David Carranza on my screen. There we go. Oh, I love you guys. Okay. We have a bit of housekeeping to do. We did very, very cool thing yesterday. I bet you don't know who the director of this episode was. Well, we do, because we interviewed him yesterday. Normally, Philip McLaughlin is the editor for Fear the Walking Dead. He has been since almost the very beginning of Fear the Walking Dead. He's been assistant editor for most of his life and most of his career. And Fear the Walking Dead gave him the chance to become a full-fledged editor. But last weekend, well, actually, technically last year, when he filmed this episode, he became the director for Fear the Walking Dead. And we interviewed him last night on our podcast, pre-recorded. And you out there, along with liking, we talked about this just before we came on, along with liking this video that you're watching right now, wherever you are, commenting at some point if you feel like it, sharing this video with your friends, and doing all the things that you should do, and of course subscribing and enabling all notifications on our YouTube channel. What you should be doing is maybe considering tipping us or joining a membership tier at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, because you can get the full unedited, and it will be edited, heavily edited, because there's some things that he probably doesn't want people to know about regarding Fear the Walking Dead or other things. And it's something I have to review. When you tip us or when you join a membership tier at any level, even the Walkers tier, which is just $1 a month, you will get access to the unedited episode recording, which is up right now. Well, don't go now. Don't go yet, because we're live with you right now to talk about this episode, which he directed. So consider, again, heading to Ko-fi or Patreon, at least following for free so that you can be in the know. And if you feel like jumping in, you can get that unedited episode recording, which hopefully we will release before we release the audio version of this podcast this week. I had a very nice time with him, and I think Bridget and Sharon D did as well. We missed Rachel, by the way. We should say we miss Rachel, and we love her.
Yes, we missed Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Phil's very, very nice, and I've been in contact with him for a couple years on Instagram, and he kindly donated last year to our Christmas charity drive. He donated a signed 12-pack of a local beer from a local brewery by him called Zombie Dust. I won that. I won that 6-pack in the Christmas charity drive last year. So he sent it to me, and minus the beer, which is fine, because he made up for it by having everyone from the episode this week sign it. Here's the...
Yeah, you'll get a lot clearer picture of this in the interview once you get it, or once it's published.
It's signed by him here, and then on this side it's signed by Christine Evangelista, Austin Emilio, Jayla White,
Jayla Walton. Yeah,
Jayla Walton. I'm sorry, Jayla Walton, and right here is Jenna. So everybody from this episode signed it.
Yep. And it's only until we interviewed him and talked with him about this episode a little bit that we figured out the connection, because you had said it. You'd say, oh, for some reason why is it Sherry and Dwight and June, and it's such a weird. And then randomly Jayla Walton who plays Dove slash Odessa on this episode. I'm like, why these random? And then we find out, yeah, that's
Mhm.
because they were on this
He
episode.
was
He was
on this
directing,
episode.
and then he managed to get that done last year, well, the
Yeah.
end of last year, basically. So that was really cool, and you'll get to see a better picture of that in the interview, essentially,
Sorry.
once we
Yeah,
publish
you
it.
don't get any more details. That's it.
Well,
That's all you get.
it's just the live stream here. It's not the picture perfect quality. It does what we need to do, but we're glad you're here and thank you for coming. So let me just read a couple things before we continue. And I don't think there's any other bits of housekeeping, but we are getting ready to do some charity.
Actually, I
Oh,
do have some housekeeping real quick.
mm,
Uh, it is that time again, fam. It is Secret Santa time.
I had a feeling you'd
And
go there.
I am not doing a huge blowout this year like I usually do because we're going to be working it into a charity drive also, which more details to come on that probably the next couple days. But if you want to be part of the Secret Santa, I am going to do Secret Santa this year. If you want to be part of Secret Santa, which is so much fun, you get a character, you make a video showing us or telling us what you would get that character for Secret Santa. It can be something around your house. You can cut out a picture or something and use it. It doesn't. You don't have to go buy anything or anything like that. You just make a video. Say, if you got Daryl, you get him some, bath beads or something, right?
Yeah,
Or some
obviously.
some some shampoo. I don't know, some dog treats. For the dog, not him. Well, I mean, he'd probably eat
Well,
those too. But
yeah,
anyway, so if you want to be in Secret Santa this year, please message me, DM me, Blazy Gardner on Instagram, so I can add you to the list because we will have an Instagram live one night where we assign everybody their characters.
yeah. And
So it's a lot of fun. We've done it for the past. We didn't do it last year because we did a charity drive, but the past couple years before that, we did some really great productions, like a little Christmas variety show. It was really cute. So they're on my Blazy Gardner again. They're on my YouTube if you want to go check them out.
that's right.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/@ BLAZYGARDENER. Blaze. Because every time I start spelling it, I keep thinking BLAZY. And I like the Mickey Mouse theme song for some reason. Anyway, yeah.
But
So
anyway, if you want to be a part of Secret Santa, DM me and I'll put you on the list so we can do the drawing because it's a lot of fun. It's
yeah.
a lot of fun.
And by the way, when you do describe the thing that you got for your TWDU character, you should also, because this has happened in the past, you should also provide your explanation
Oh yes, true,
as well.
true. Not
Because
just
we've had
not
people
just
go,
here.
here's a figurine of Dwight for Daryl for some reason. And then the video ends and it's like, wait, what? Why though? Why Daryl? Why Dwight for why? Anyway,
Remember when Mitchell did
Negan.
Negan and he
It's
was like,
unforgettable.
"You met, we met. Remember me, Glenn? We met briefly."
We met briefly. It was the
It's
weirdest.
still my favorite. It's still my favorite.
What a
of all
great first
ever.
impression, Mitchell, who
Right,
is here.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Mitchell's here.
Mitchell's here.
Nice.
Hi, Mitchell. And also our
Um,
favorite
Negan.
background actor from Fear the Walking Dead is here. Hey,
Jason
Jason.
Cohn. That's right. Who we
Jason.
mentioned a lot in the last
Walking
episode.
Dead Eternal, the end date for the drawing. I haven't set a date yet. I've only got about 6 people on the list, so I need a few more.
Yeah.
Once I get a few more people that are going to participate, I will set a date. But it's going to be in the next couple of weeks because I've got to give you time to make your videos.
Yep.
So just DM me and I'll let you know as soon as we're ready to do it.
Yep.
Mitchell,
And
I still owe you a coloring book, and I'll send it to you shortly. I finally have a sleeve to put it in. I'm so sorry.
But guys, stay tuned for us because we have a really exciting Christmas
holiday.
charity drive. Holiday, excuse me. We have a really exciting holiday drive.
No, it's funny because before we got on because Sharon was particular about it's holiday, secular holiday, like, and then she just goes
feel
off
like
and
it's
says
just holiday.
Christmas.
I'm sorry.
No,
It's
no.
a holiday
Say
charity
sorry to
drive.
yourself. You just you were very careful about it
So,
before we got on
um,
for some
it's
reason.
he threw me all off, Dave.
Yes.
Anyway, just pay attention to us because stay tuned because we're going to be putting out details about that soon, and we're going to have some great prizes, and hopefully some special guests.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's read some comments, and I'll skip the ones we already addressed. But Walking Dead Eternal said, and I like this comment because it's great. Thank you, because it's a lot of hard work. Nice thumbnail, by the way. I like the word fear. How the word fear just pops out. Yes, and it's also coincidentally, that fear logo that's right above my head is you can get it from our merch store on any number of things, like our mugs and coffee mugs and travel mugs and shirts and stickers, even die cut stickers and stuff like that. So in 2 different versions. So if you head over to squawkingdead.com, click the main menu and type. No, what is this, a text game from the 1970s? No, tap merch
Yeah,
in the
it's
main menu.
Zorp.
It's
or
It's
whatever
Zork.
that was
Return to
called.
Zork. Exactly.
Zork. Okay, Zorp.
Zorp is a whole other thing. God, such a nerd, David. Okay, so let's go to yes. Anyway, so Jason Code says, "Hey y'all, hi Jason, we love you. Welcome to Eternal."
G.
Says,
Wilson.
I give this episode a 7 of fear. I mean, well, that's pretty cool.
Out of 7?
He gives this episode a 7 of fear. 7 of fear.
A 7 out of fear.
Yeah, a 7 out of fear. Jason Kuntz says, sweet, that's awesome. Yes. Dave Kruntz says, it's pretty cool, Sharon D. Mitchell says, hello. And he also says, I have to make a post. Still, I got the shirt, Dave. Yay! Mitchell got the shirt we sent him for helping Rachel, trying to help Rachel with the face of horror, which did not work out quite well. But she got pretty damn far. So kudos to all of you who did your things. Welcome to Eternal. Yeah. Mitchell, yeah. And and Mitchell, in his video for Secret Santa, Negan, I don't know. It's a very memorable.
We met briefly.
Okay, no worries. Hello, everyone. Hello, Lois. Your adorable man-child, Dave. Man-child? Excuse me. I'm an adult. I'm 44 years old. Carranza. Anyway. G. Wilson's, hey, what's up? Josh Pineda, who, by the way, will be celebrating his 31st birthday on Friday. I made sure to say that because he showed up. So, well, he deserves it. So there you go. Happy birthday, Josh, soon.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Early.
Oh, and Carranza says he loves the episode. 8.5 out of 10. Dang, son. That's pretty high.
Excuse me, get it right. It's 8.5 out of fear.
Well, yeah, David. Yeah. Walking to Eternal says, if you guys interview Lord Cohan, please put me on the live stream. No.
No.
I'd be afraid. I love you, but no. Unpopular opinion, G. Wilson says, but this is my least favorite in the second half. That's interesting. I've not heard that so far.
It's my favorite of the second half. You know why?
June's in it.
Because
Madison's not in it.
It was blissfully Madison free.
She said it's not as bad as 803, but kind of close. Maybe it's because of June that she didn't like this episode. She Wilson didn't like this episode. Josh says, I don't like the Madison character anymore, Josh Pineda says. Interesting. And I think we sort of talked about that too. I talked about that also with, I think it was David. Yeah, David Carranza. Yeah, she ruins. Oh, and of course, Seth LaRusso has tons to say about Madison.
Look, so I
Yes,
love
he
how
does.
in this episode, Sherry's like, she just left us, whatever, and I'm like, why does everybody love Madison so much? She came in here and messed everything up. I mean, like really, she messed everything up, made Charlie kill herself, and now she just bounces and leaves everybody else to deal with her crap. What a peach! I love her. That's such a great person to just
great.
create all this chaos and then just bounce to go look for her dead kid.
I love
instead of staying and cleaning up her mess.
It's perfect.
What a great person.
I love that. I love that fact. I love that for her, as Bridget would say, and I mock, but it's great.
You mock it, but you started using it, so
Yeah. Well, obviously, listen. Is it imitation is the highest form of flattery, basically? Takira says, "Hey, all the ones who talks is me." Well, yeah, of course. Takira, of course, I know that. Everybody's saying happy birthday to Josh. Feel the same way.
not you, you dink. She's talking to the people in chat.
Oh, Mitchell says Dove was annoying this episode.
Okay,
Sorry, I just hit the mic.
I
I
things to say
wholeheartedly
about that.
disagree.
I have things to say about that too.
Okay.
There are some
Because-
things, but mostly I really respect as an actor that she brought it this episode.
Okay, well,
We'll
here's-
get. Oh, okay.
We'll
we're
get
not-
to it.
okay,
We'll get
go.
to it.
Okay,
get
I
to
was
it.
like, oh, well, go right ahead.
Well, let's just load the chick.
Well, let's do it.
No, wait. Well, let me just finish the last two. June is one of my favorites too. Well, G Wilson. Oh, so responding to what I said. June is one of my favorites too. G Wilson says, which is why I love 802 so much. But something about this one was different. Ah, okay.
Actually,
Let's get
actually, the
into it.
problem is it wasn't different. It was exactly the same as 802, except June wasn't cutting off fingers. I mean, it's the exact same storyline. The exact same stuff happened. Is the only, like I said, the only difference
Is the
is
outcome?
June didn't cut off some fingers.
Well, the
Well, yeah,
outcome too.
something
Yeah.
something good came out of something bad, but it's the exact same setup um as 802.
Right. And
That's
what I wrote in
it's
the
what's why wasn't good. Why it wasn't as good is because June wasn't a savage. That's what made 802 good was her whacking off
well,
fingers.
and little did we know that that was the consolation to a very utterly devastating episode for her too, which I like that you brought up because I hadn't thought about it, but this episode, this is what I was hoping was the aftermath of that episode because we hadn't seen too much about June, and we have seen residuals from that episode, like residual feelings, but this episode really dug into the things I hoped they would dig into. The impression that that episode left on me, and I'm
Well,
really
let's talk about it then.
no. Why are some messages
No,
showing up? Good.
you made me not talk about the other things, so we'll just get back to it.
All right, so let's
Let's
let's let's
talk
talk
about
let's talk about J.Lo Walton as Dove slash Odessa Sanderson. Let's talk about it. So
All right.
what was
why
so
you
bad
say it
about
like
her?
that.
What was the thing? What was the thing that you want to dig into?
Everybody has been saying that she was annoying and whiny, blah blah blah. I hated her this episode. Look, she's a kid who just had her entire world turned upside down, and the people that she thought she could trust, Shrike and whatever his name was,
Oh,
they let her down. And so she put her faith in these other people who are also letting her down. So Dove is not being annoying. She's being an actual human who would be very angry at the people who have led her to be in this spot because they're the ones that tore her world down.
yeah. Well, yeah.
So so yes, she was being a little butthead and she was being annoying, but anybody would have been like that in her situation.
When you have to
Well,
remember
can we
she's
just
just a
talk about
kid
the
too.
fact that like you've all been teenagers and you've all been like this to your parents or family? Guarantee you have.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Because
But
it's
also,
just like being angsty is part of being a teenager.
but what was
So,
great about having her in the top of the season, is seeing what she was capable of doing from the very start. And you could comment on that and say, okay, she seems to be a leader amongst the children, and she seems to be very handy. She's training the children in combat. But then you get to this episode, and with all the arguments that we have about Judith all the time, but like she's kind of the exception, but all kids should aspire to be like that. Well, okay, yes, she is like that. However, she's still a kid. She's still a kid.
That not only that, she just found out that her mother was killed or died because of the people who just turned her whole world upside down.
Yeah.
yep.
It killed the only people she'd recognized as parents or people or leaders. So,
And then they're
she's just a
like,
kid.
oh, by the way, we're going to make your life better, but none of us have it together and we're all falling apart constantly around you. So these are your role models now.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
and I need you. I need you. Like I didn't know that I need you until I needed you. And
She's
and then
just
when
like
she
trying to
tries to
work
do it
through her own
herself.
trauma, and these adults around her can't even get through their bull hockey. And I
Acceptable.
tried I tried
I
to
know.
correct.
I
I
know.
tried to self-correct.
Kudos.
And so how is she expected to have any respect for these people? I mean, she
Well,
she's allowed to be angry, and this seems like something that could and would happen.
yeah, it's totally
Not only
reasonable.
that, but she's in a lot of pain. And I'm going to tell you right now, that will make you a harsh, unlikable person to be in pain like that because you're
Mm.
hurting. It hurts. And you're angry because it hurts. And these people are it's like, I'm going to save you. No, I'm going to save you. No, I'm going to save you. And you're like, would you people just do something instead of talking about
Well,
what you're
show
going
don't
through?
tell, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, right? Something we
So
said
I
about the writing
had,
in this season.
yes, she was annoying, but there was a reason behind her being annoying. It wasn't just being annoying as a kid. Like there was she had a reason behind it. I would be angry too.
Well, and it's also, think about this universe too on the whole. There, it's one thing to see the events that transpire that lead to trauma and to hard times for all these characters, and we've seen it. It's another to feel it. And I thought that having her emote the way she did, and she like I was very, very impressed, really makes you sort of believe, right? Because the show don't tell isn't limited to just showing me the events. The show don't tell is also about making me feel something, and that's actually how I wanted to start the episode. Really, is instead of really just the regular, oh, what are your first impressions of the episode, which we will say, but I wanted to add the caveat of, did this episode actually make you feel something? And I asked the audience that as well. But in the meantime, Bridget,
Yes.
did this episode?
Happiness that Madison
She's,
wasn't in it.
she just
She
undercut you,
steamrolled me. She
man. Jeez
steamrolled me.
Louise.
I'm sorry, Bridget.
Well, you know what? That's emblematic of how you felt about it. So that's pretty cool.
No, Sharon D's excited about this one, and I'm glad. Um, I did like this one. I thought this one was really great. I don't want to go ahead and say that it's my favorite in the last half of the season because I feel like I need to rewatch all of them to reevaluate that. But it was really, really good. And I felt like we got to see characters we haven't seen in a while. So thank goodness for that. Two, we got to
Yeah.
wrap up some stuff from Walking Dead proper.
In a way, yeah. In a
And
way.
I am so thankful for that. I just this storyline with Sherry and Dwight, it seemed like in season 7 they were trying to like perpetuate it. Like, we're gonna go 3 more seasons with this bad boy. We're gonna talk about the sanctuary and they're gonna go back and get Negan and blah blah blah. It seems like that was like the
That was season
agenda they were
6, actually.
pushing. 6, it was brought up again in
Oh,
7.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's true. That's
they,
true.
they keep, because like they split up for a while because of it, and the whole will they won't they, and it's like, just let's just move on from this, please. So it was nice to see that, okay, cool, we're gonna lay some of this to bed. Great. For the time being, if you want to bring this back and have them hash this out in a spin-off or something, fine, do that, but it doesn't need to happen in this. That doesn't need to eat into this final stretch of
Yeah,
episodes,
I agree.
right? There's too much story left to tell to really focus on something that's been hashed out over and over and over and over again.
Although, can I just interject here for a sec? Part of
I
me
guess.
by the end was thinking, because the question was asked, oh, are you coming back with us? And I was like, I wanted to kind of say, I gotta see Daryl and maybe bring him along in this fight. Maybe. Did you guys feel that at least a little bit?
Um,
Like he was. It's
no.
kind of like last episode when Daniel said there is something fundamentally like, because he was about to say the F word in my head canon, but he landed on fundamentally. And so just like this episode, I felt like because he says Daryl like while he's about to pass out in the beginning of the episode, so I thought maybe
Mhm.
that would be incorporated somehow at the end. Like, yeah, I got to see a guy about a guy, or
Well,
guy.
I think what they did at the end of the episode is kind of wrap this up to say, no, this is okay. We're gonna move
Yeah,
on
yeah. No, I agree.
because that's what we need to do to honor our son.
Right, right. Not yeah.
That's what's the most important thing for them. Why still deal with all of this trauma that you've been dealing with for so many years? Like, just start to let some of that go. Yeah, did Negan do some really despicable things to you guys? Of course he did.
Well,
But do
I
you need to
feel
hang
like,
on to that? We've seen what that does. We saw it with Maggie's character.
but here, so I feel like the whole point of this was something good coming out of something bad. So they had to go to this bad place to make that something good happen. So that's why they had to go back to the sanctuary. First of all, the sanctuary falls. Like, it's legitimately fallen now. It can never come back. They can let it go. It's gone. It can never come
Yes.
again. But also, again, stressed, something good coming out of something bad. So they go to the sanctuary and they end up finally being able to work out and really put in the past the trauma and everything that they suffered at the sanctuary. So while I don't really agree with the whole time hopping, like going from Georgia to Virginia in
If that's where
in
they, yeah.
trucks. Like,
All
okay,
right.
whatever. I'll get over that. But I can see why they felt like they needed to go back to the sanctuary in order to kind of let Dwight and Sherry end it. It's back to the site of their trauma. It triggers them and makes them confront the
The thing they
past.
never
They can't get
confronted.
away from it.
Yeah.
They can't get away from it because they're there. They
Yeah.
can't run away if they're right there.
Well, I like that because this ties into the whole discussion that we had, I think the last episode, where things are finally tying up. All of these loose ends that you want to tie up in a final season, everything's coming full circle finally. And this was one of those notes that they needed to hit to wrap these stories up for these characters.
Would you say that everything gets a return?
Yes, but I wouldn't say it like that.
Why not? It's perfect.
Um, G.
It's
Wilson
not.
said, "Shout out to whoever was rebuilding the set in the King County house in 804. Even if some minor things aren't accurate, the dedication was definitely present." That
Same
is
with this
something we
episode
talk
too.
about in our interview with Phil McLaughlin last night. So
Yeah. You'll have to
go check it out.
go go check that out. Go look at that. Will you put that in your pipe and smoke it? Okay.
And stream it.
Actually, it
Stream
was more
it.
like put that in your pod and stream it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Put that in your tube and you it. Anyway,
I
let's.
know everybody else was also complaining about the metalhead walkers, right? They were all gone when Negan went back. Blah
Yeah, I
blah
wrote
blah.
that down in my notes
You
too.
know, okay, so one of the guys that moved in there was an old sanctuary guy,
Yeah,
and then somebody else was like, "Wouldn't Dwight know him?" They had outposts. Dwight didn't know every single person. I'm
sure.
sure that were in all the outposts, so it
No,
would have been
there's no
very
way.
easy for someone who was in one of the old outposts who had been in the sanctuary before to
Well,
remember the metalhead walkers and make their own.
it
That
could have
yeah,
been somebody
boom,
from a different community that had to deal with them,
And it's
who
totally not
knew where the
unique.
location was and
right.
knew what they had set up there. I
Yeah,
mean,
totally.
it's not
That
out of the
that
realm of
wasn't yeah,
possibility.
that wasn't a problem for
But
me.
it does touch on another thing, which is this episode is rife with and and Dwight almost breaks the fourth wall when he confronts Jay. In a sense, it's like you got to be kidding me. This is a little too on the nose. And so
Uh-huh.
I love that.
throughout the episode, everything seems a little
Surprised that
too.
guy's name wasn't Tony. Tony and Tina.
Right?
Oh, as a reflection for Tina, Sherry's sister, in case you
Um,
forgot.
I I wanted to go back and touch on something real quick again when I was saying about something good coming out of something bad.
Mhm.
That also was like they showed that also in them being able to save Dove in the furnace, whereas in the past the furnace
Was the source.
was what caused Dwight. Hey, that was the bad. Got his face burned. They threw the doctor
Hmm.
in there. You know, all those bad things that happened in the furnace, and then the good thing that happened was they were able to save Dove out of it.
Yeah, and it made him lean into that life enough
Hmm.
to shoot Dr. Denise with the crossbow. This is like part of that bad is that he leaned into that moment, said there's no escape. That what there's nothing left for me. And so
On that point, Sharon D, he uses the iron that burned his face
Right,
to protect himself too.
right.
So yeah, there's a lot there in terms of
Well, and it happens for June too, because all the bad that happens, but she's able to confront the past with her daughter, and kind of I feel like she kind of let that go as well, because the whole story with June was she was so traumatized by losing all of these children that she was trying to save and being forced to experiment on. Well, and then you've got John. You know, she lost John,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
she lost her mind and went crazy for a while.
fingers.
And
All I
now
see
she's
is
lost. All
fingers.
right, now she's lost a finger, and she's just like she just feels like everything is. It's just she has ruined everything, and
Right.
everything is her fault, and she's still paying for that one sin in the past of leaving her daughter alone.
Well, and the fact that it's kids too, and,
Right.
and
So
like
Mhm.
she's
I won't, I'm not lying. I was like thinking, well, in a competition between she and Carol, who's winning here in terms of losing children?
Is that
I
Carol bad
laughed in my head
equal?
about that, but it
Actually,
just
because
wasn't
I
funny.
thought the same thing. I was like, this is what Carol and June have in common. They can't keep kids alive. But um,
Poor things.
so she in going on this journey with them, while all these bad things happened, she was able to make something good come out of it because she was finally able to let go of, not let go of her trauma, but get past it enough to do what she had to do, which she couldn't do before. Because like having Sherry sew up Dwight because June's finger was gone. Like, June, you were shooting a gun 2 episodes ago
With your middle finger,
with that
yeah.
finger. So like,
Mhm.
what, is it you just can't do the medical stuff anymore? You're afraid of that
Saving,
because
right.
because you can't save anybody. You couldn't save Finch.
Yeah.
So it was good for her to be able to save Dove and finally be able to come out of that and be like, yes, I can do something good.
Well, and then in terms of the wraparound of it all, she gets a family again.
And the family
Yeah.
grows too, in a sense, right? You've got now we've
Well,
also Odessa.
and I guess maybe by she saved Odessa, and by letting Dwight out, she also saved Dwight and Sherry because when she let Dwight out of the apartment and he went down to save Sherry, that forced them then to
Yep.
confront their problems with among the walkers. So you can also kind of say that June saved
Mhm.
saved Dove and them.
Yeah, and a lot of that is opportunity.
And her reward for that was having a family again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is what's important. Go after it. And all there's a lot of factors in this episode that kind of lead to that too. So, and each and every person in this episode contributes. And Dwight says it best. Like all of you, I needed all of you to see that. That's what I needed. So,
Well, I
but
mean, he and Sherry were so hurt. Both of them were just so hurt. And I guess, I mean, my feeling is like he must have left right after they
Mhm.
had that conversation,
yep,
So,
at French's grave.
they were, I wish we had like a time frame of how long this was after the end of 8A because I just kind of, I wish we had like a time frame there, but,
It seems like
um,
only a couple weeks. It feels like
right,
just
it
considering all the
doesn't feel like
episodes.
long, yeah.
Yeah,
But like they were hurt so badly by the death of their son and feeling like everything they have done, just everything they've done and all the sacrifices they've made have never mattered. They still couldn't keep anybody safe. And they couldn't keep themselves safe and they couldn't keep their family safe.
right.
And
It's like trying to hold on to liquid. It just
now,
slips through your fingers.
right. And they had to get not past that hurt because you're never going to get past that hurt, but they had to recognize that the other one was hurting too and come together to share it rather than pushing each other away.
Right.
Yeah.
And it and I said this about June at the time too, in the second episode of the season, that this woman, she is definitely thinking that she is cursed. And then you see that reflected heavily in Dwight, like on the nose, saying,
Mhm.
every time I try to do something good, somebody else suffers. And I'm the one left standing for some reason. I'm the one left standing, essentially. You know, I'm the one digging the grave at the end of the day. So
I mean, I think Jay actually
I was going to say
is the
something
one
about
that
that. Yeah.
really hit it on the head was if you're not helping people, then what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I mean that's
Exactly.
why Dwight was like every time I try to help, I just make it up worse. So maybe I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, and he does. He is kind of a foil for Dwight. He lost his wife and child. So,
Mhm.
but even then, he says, "quote Even a week is a hell of a lot better than being dead." Which is kind of like, well, what are you doing? You're
Yeah.
going. So a lot of what Jay says, even though he ends up dying, and maybe because he ends up dying, by the way, it's like, well, that could be you. Do you really want that? You still have your wife. You still have a. Well, you're lucky, man. You still have a chance. You have a family. You have June, who you said was
And
your
not only
family,
that,
and all these kids to
Kite,
look up to.
right, as Red Kite, you have a whole family of children that need you.
Yeah,
It's not, I mean, you lost Finch, but you have all these other kids that need love and guidance because you just, like I said, they just tore their whole world down and now these kids are just, what do we do now? What's going on? We're only getting to see Dove's side of that, but these kids, what are they all doing? They have to have somebody that they trust and look up to, and that's going to be Dwight.
yeah, yeah, and I agree. You know, and I would say normally I would criticize this so on the nose, even fourth wall at times breaking moments, right? But there were so many like callbacks, Easter eggs, things to look at. And
Hmm.
honestly, I can't be mad at it. And even if some of the stuff they did was so like okay, emblematic, right? The Finch at the very end almost. That which is like, oh, it's Finch meeting our son. He's looking down on us. Like that so on the nose. But I can't be mad. I can't be mad at it because there's so much meaning, there's so much rife meaning to all of this. So even if it's too much or even if it's too on the nose, I wasn't mad at it at all because of the fan service too. Going to your point about fan
Yeah.
service, it's important, and so it kind of offsets, the almost pointing, flashing neon signs at certain themes. You know,
Well, I mean, yeah, that part was cheesy, but I didn't mind it
right,
because
right.
if you've lost someone, that's like a real thing that you do for self-assurance. Like, so
To
if
find
I see
signs, you mean?
if I yeah, I
Yeah.
mean you
Okay.
do because you need to know that they're still looking out for you somehow, somewhere out there, right? And this applies, I would say, to pretty much everyone. I don't know if you feel the same way, Sharon D, but I don't know if you look for signs like that in the world,
Mm,
but
I think that's just a natural
yeah, like, 'cause
human
I'm a
thing, you
Christian,
know.
and so, like,
I mean, I
why
don't.
would I want my grandfather to be a cardinal? But I don't, but I want him to be in heaven,
He was
but when
ginger,
I
FYI.
no,
Anyway,
he wasn't. But when I see a
ruined it.
cardinal, I think of him, and that connection, it makes it it's easy to look for and be like, "He's looking out for me right now." And so, like, seeing the bird, like, is even though you're like, "Oh, that's, like, so cheesy." Like, we all do
Right,
that.
right. Well, and especially for
So
them to see that.
I enjoyed it. I mean, these people
it
have what else do they have?
it was no cheesier than anything that's happened in 100 movies before.
Yeah.
Like that's been
Yeah,
a big,
true.
it's no cheesier than. I thought it was. I was like, heck yeah, all right, it's Finch. That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that. I didn't
Well,
bother me.
that's why I said it like that too, by the way. I said even though so much of this episode was on the nose from the character Jay pointing out things and Dwight going, "You're pointing out things." And then the Finch and all the way to the Finch at the end. Even with that, there's so much fan service, there's so much, it's such a great offset to the really heavy themes too. So
Mhm.
so that it's a nice counterweight to what, which is okay. Look, you can still criticize the writing, but at the same time, they it's not just about the writing; it's also about the execution, and
This
so they made up
one,
for it
and I
with
don't
execution.
yeah, I don't know if it was the fan service or what, but this one, the writing, it had its clunky moments, but I thought it was like streets ahead. I'm going to use that word. Streets ahead of the most recent scripts. This one was
And
far and above.
It also helps that you don't have a block of wood delivering
well,
lines.
but more than just that, it seems like it's a trend too. It seems like with episodes like King County and this one,
Mhm.
there was there that there was a lot of research that had to go into everything, which we talked about in our interview with Phil McLaughlin, the director of this episode. But there's a lot of pressure to get it right and get it right enough for people to believe that they are at the sanctuary, first of all, and second of all because of the theme. You're at the sanctuary, you're surrounded by ghosts of the past, right? So how could you get it? How would you, because if you don't get that right, you however great the writing is, people are going to notice it and it's going to take them out of it anyway. So you know if you can get that piece right, you've got people paying attention at least, even if the writing may be not quite the way it should be, or the delivery or the dialogue, etc. But you get that as right as humanly possible. People be like, yeah, I don't care, just keep going, just keep talking, keep saying your lines. It's fine. Look at this delicious eye candy. So, but and you can tell that the care was put into this episode for sure.
What do you want to
S-
go back through and talk about the things that were
Said in the chat.
fan service? I was just thinking of like all the
Oh,
callbacks
yeah.
because people may have missed things, so it might be nice to go through.
Well, let's go
I
through
mean,
the
probably I missed stuff.
think about a couple of those things, cue those up, and let me just say some things that were in the chat. And some of those things were Takira says I was able to ignore what was still terrible writing because I was so happy to see Dwight. Characters. And why the hell does her last name have to be my maiden name? Why'd you have to blow your spot? See, now they can get your social security number. G. Wilson says, random side note, but Bridget's lights in the back are so pretty. I agree. They're great.
Thank
She
you.
keeps upping her game every episode. Okay, and Jason Cohn says, I think she did a great job this episode. I agree. The one, Takira says, I would not have lived if I did. Change, I gotcha. G. Wilson
No, it
says,
was if she had talked back to her family, like Dove was talking to them.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm still here, and I did. So,
I
proof of
did
life.
too, but I got whooped.
I host a podcast. Yeah, no, I got whooped and I'm still here. So anyway, whatever. G. Wilson says the same explanation Sherry has for Dove is why I've been defending Mo in the first half, because a lot of what she did was influenced by influenced by Padre. Yes. The ones who Takira says you would never have met me. Yeah, wow, let's keep going. David says, I love that you're all wearing black. That's interesting. Yeah, we are. And we're blending into the background
Always,
at times.
David.
Jason says she did live one night on the Fear page and was really excited about the performance in this episode. Jason
She went
Cohen
live.
says, oh, she went live.
She didn't live there.
What was wrong with me? Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Thanks, Jason. Takira says, taking up by my family at once. She keeps going. Dang, son. Got the world against you. Mitchell says, I'm glad that Dwight joined them again. I just want Dwight and Sherry to be happy. So do I. I mean, the infinity symbol, man, that's what it's all about. Them two back to back in this episode, killing walkers against the world. Kronza likes your bull hockey. Joe Wilson's like your bull hockey. Also, random thought. G. Wilson says, if I get your names wrong, I apologize in advance. I'm still learning. Listen, we get your names wrong all the time, so fair play.
It's true.
Lois
It's okay.
says, by the way, she's been not liking all the episodes. She says, such a good episode finally. Okay.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it, Lois.
Yeah. Walking Dead Eternal says, in this episode of Fear the Walking Dead, when Dwight and Sherry were in Sanctuary, I thought Negan was going to appear. And he kind of did in some of those flashbacks, if you're quick enough, which, I mean, can we just touch briefly on that again? Did you like the use of flashbacks? It does seem to have continued the theme from the last episode with Charlie.
I
in a
did
sense.
because it gave you the sense of the trauma that they were experiencing. You like
Mm-hmm.
you can't really get in their heads, but by showing those flashbacks, it was like in the weird sound effect they put with it.
Yeah, like a sort of like electric shock, like a lightning bolt.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you're in it, you can just see that. I guess that's it. It's shocking them to feel these things again.
And they're reacting
So
to
I
that
feel like,
shock, too, which I liked.
right, and I feel like that was very helpful in to kind of put it together in their headspace why they're both acting the way they are once they get there.
Yeah, I agree. And well, can we touch on one specific moment though? The pregnancy test. That was a lot because it's not just a Walking Dead reference too. Sorry, I should say it's not just a Fear the Walking Dead reference from season 7 with the pregnancy test, and they find out she is pregnant. But it's a Walking Dead reference.
Yeah.
Dwight finds out secondhand that Sherry had gone to Dr. Carson to find out if she was pregnant, and it was part of the reason why Dr. Carson, and you see that flashback in this episode, gets thrown into the furnace too, because he was lying to Negan. Doesn't matter if he ostensibly told the truth. I think that was the case. Like he kind of
Well, Dwight was told Negan that the doctor was the one doing something for the ladies or something. I don't remember exactly. But
yeah.
It was Dwight who was doing it, but he blamed it on the doctor, so that Negan threw the doctor in the fire.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's keep going. Jason goes, I'm so proud of some of my friends this episode as metalhead walkers. They put a lot of hard work this season for most to have never worked on a TWD show before. Well, they did I think it was a really superb job. People can criticize, but of their mere existence, but who doesn't like a callback, Takir says they did a tremendous job, Jason. Marcus Carrillo, hi, Marcus Carrillo. G. Wilson, shout out to whoever's rebuilding the set in the King County. Oh, we talked about that already. Welcome to Eternal says, what's crazy? I thought I saw Simon's walker form still walking. You wouldn't, but it's cool that in one of the lightning bolt flashbacks, you did get to see an eye full of Simon too, which is kind of nice. Oh, I remembered what I wanted to say before about sort of about the metalhead walkers, but also about these guys in relation to. I thought it would have been a really interesting opportunity to weave in like even the tiniest hint that maybe the people that are living there now might be with the Croat, right? If you think about it, he's looking for Negan to try to do this thing, and it's about this. I mean, maybe the timeline may not be right, but Croat has been trying to find Negan for years, it seemed. So, did you guys think of that at all in any way?
No.
That's interesting. Okay, I mean, to tie in the universe, I thought it would have been a good opportunity to somehow, support that. But anyway, let's see. Takira
I
says,
would have, if that were the case, Dave, I think they would have questioned Dwight.
"Do you think so?" Oh well, yeah, and they would
Yeah, because
know
why
him.
would Dwight come back and how did he know where things were? Like, of course they would want to question him then.
Shout
So
out
I
to that
don't,
Marty guy though, by the way. He's like, "Because you were there," and in your head you're like, "Well, oh, okay, because he was literally there." Okay, I guess. But like his just demeanor and the way he delivered lines was actually kind of cool. Like it was a little schlocky, but it was necessary schlocky. Because Negan
I
is
thought he was gonna
schlocky.
kiss Dwight at the end, but anyway,
I think
it's
he should
fine.
have. Anyway,
He got so close to his face. I was like, "Are you gonna kiss him?
yeah, little
Is
peck on.
that the way this is going?
That
Is that
one
the
that
direction?"
took an unexpected turn.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
a
I was
hard.
like, "This is
It's a
getting.
hard left on
This
that
is."
one.
I thought you wanted to kill him. Now you want to kiss
Well, it's they call the orgasm le petit mot, the little death. So, anyhow,
like
little
my mom
education.
always said about Carl, my arch nemesis. There's a thin line between love and hate, Bridget.
I just talked
That's
about
what my mom used to
orgasm, and you mentioned Carl.
say.
Anyway, Takira says Carol wins that every time, killing kids. G. Wilson says Dwight and Sherry accepting June as their family, especially since June and John saved Dwight. That's great. Thank you, G. Wilsons. That's a great callback. That was lovely to see this season. Walking Dead Eternal says, and Dwight pointed out the infinity sign still on the wall. Yep. The flashbacks were awesome. G. Wilson says, Sherry back in 806, that Finch made his name his own despite Padre giving it to him. And that's why the bird showing up at the end is special. Yeah. He made it his own. And also, there's a distinct presence of make it count as well as second chances. Like so, every last episode's theme gets brought into the next episode. I'm noticing as well. So there's second chances in Anton. There's make it count in Iron Tiger, and now we're doing second chances, make it count, and then you gotta go through it to get over it. Essentially, you gotta go back. Sometimes you gotta go through it to move forward. Essentially, does that make sense? What I just said, is that English? What I
It was English, yes.
yeah. Was it in the right order though? Anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, agree. Okay, I was going to be unhappy if they didn't fix. Okay, so yeah, Takira says I was going to be really unhappy if they didn't fix Dwight and Sherry after all
Well, I
they've been
don't
through.
think they're 100% fixed. I want to reiterate when we talked about their episode and how sad it was that they split up. I want you guys to realize that's rooted in reality. The statistics of people whose marriages fall apart after they lose a child is pretty alarming. So just know, I don't think that this is 100% fixed. I think we're still going to see a little bit of conflict here, but it's okay. They're at least now willing to work together to move forward.
Right, with each other,
Yeah.
which is the key. Which they had discord. I mean, perfectly natural, and it's not always going to be like you said. It's not always going to be the case that they get back. They get come back from this, and they found a way through, and their family grew as a result, which is great. Okay, yes. So G. Wilson says the flashbacks in this episode remind me of the mid-season finale was edited for Morgan. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly why I brought it up. The three characters with three different levels of trauma trying to combat it all, and the same type of trauma. Okay, like Takira, Simon has now been on 3 TWD shows. Yes,
Kind
yes,
of.
kind of,
She
kind
said
of,
kind
yes,
of.
kind of, right. But hey, kudos
And
to
Better Call
Stephen
Saul.
Ogg.
And Better Call Saul. He was in the Better Call Saul universe too.
And what's that show with the two lib chicks in New York City? He was like the locksmith. I can't remember now.
Oh, Broad City?
Broad. Yeah, it was Broad City. Yep. Creepy, creepy
I
locksmith.
love Broad City. So good.
Uh, did you like how I said the two lib chicks? Anyway,
And I knew immediately what you were talking
I know
about for
exactly.
some reason.
Um, okay, so yeah, we got to see Troy's daughter Tracy at the end. Do you think we should go there now and then make our way back into this episode because it's just such a small
No.
piece? What do you think?
Well, I wanted to do callbacks. There's one that Charity pointed
Okay.
out in our Discord chat that I really want to touch on.
Okay.
But then sure.
Okay, so Takira says, "Oh, I don't think they're like back together. Wonderful. Completely losing each other would be insane." Yep. Jason Coon says, "I shared it on Facebook, but not Instagram yet. I own the prop desk from Dwight's room in this episode. Had the opportunity after wrap to be able to purchase it. Dude, that's great. Oh, I can't wait to see
That's pretty
that.
cool.
You know, can you actually, when you do post it on Instagram, let's say, or even Facebook, you can tag us on both. Just
He
either
shared
DM
on
me or
Facebook
tag me.
already.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see that." Takira says, "Oh my god, I laughed out loud when I saw Strand with Tracy. I was like, finally, me and Strand agree." Ooh. Well, we'll get to that. Jay Wilson says, "Not sure what any of you guys' death predictions are for after this episode. I could have sworn that Dove was going to die this episode. I honestly, in the middle, I was kind of like, where is this going? Oh my God, this kid's trying to take the
I
bull out
know.
herself, which boss move, but usually ends up people, because we've seen this sort of behavior on the Walking Dead universe. It never ends well, ever, except this episode, essentially. But I could have sworn that Dove was going to die in this episode. I also oddly still worried about Sherry, which is a good sign. I felt somewhat the same. These series, they don't tend to end well when things look really really dire. Somebody usually ends up moited or deaded.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Easter eggs now. We've gone through that. And because
Okay.
by the way, I made a promise to myself because we tend not to read the comments in the chat. And so I made a promise to myself to at least try. You know, once we get into it, it's all bets are off usually. But, you
I
know,
don't know. I think we try. We try a lot of the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay. So from the beginning of the episode, there's things like Jay's looking for insulin, which if you watch the show and didn't watch The Walking Dead, then I guess you wouldn't know this, but the way that we're introduced to Dwight is through the fact that he met Daryl in the woods and stole his stuff. As it turns out, we find out that Dwight's backstory is that Sherry's sister needs insulin, and they stole a bunch of it so that they could escape Sanctuary and the Saviors. So it was weird that this guy conveniently also needed insulin.
It's also double
Um,
weird, by the way, considering the fact that Daryl was always meant to be this weird shadow Dwight in a sense.
yeah,
If you've seen
yeah,
panels in the comics pre face burning, you do get that sense,
yeah.
like
They're very
distinctly
similar,
looking almost exactly,
which is why it was so fitting that Dwight steals Daryl's vest. But anyway,
and breaks
moving
the
on
fourth
from that.
wall in this episode too. Are you kidding me?
Moving on from that.
Are we in the
I
comic
know, I
book?
loved that. Loved that he went back to the old house. Loved that we got to see the eternity symbol, everywhere because that was his and Sherry's thing. Here's a fun fact for you all. When Dwight passes out on the porch and is speaking about how he wants Daryl to come get him, because as you'll remember, Daryl said, "If you ever come back, I will kill you." Guess what? Dwight's back and he's not dead. Um,
Much to his
there,
chagrin at that moment.
I know he's not happy
I
about
mean,
it.
if he
I
had
think he
known that
probably went
Daryl
back
was in
to be killed.
France, if he had known Daryl was in France, he probably wouldn't have been nearly as worried. He'd have been like, "Oh, I could just go to Alexandria, no problem."
Start
But he
whistling
doesn't know that
Dixon,
he doesn't know Daryl's out saving some kid
Yeah.
in
and saving
France.
himself in the process. But did you like how
So,
he landed on the home sweet home welcome mat?
okay, so he landed on the home sweet home welcome mat. Fun fact for you all.
Another fun fact, actually.
That home sweet home welcome mat is readily available to you at Target. It has been for several years. As soon as I saw it, I went, "That's the Target home sweet home welcome mat." I have seen that welcome mat many a time on
Why
many
didn't
of
you
my
ask?
shopping
Why didn't
trips.
you ask Phil
So
about it
we know,
last night? Jeez
so
Louise, what a
we know
waste.
Sherry shopped at Target before the fall.
So, shopped at Target before the fall. That welcome mat has been around for so many years. I'm not since 2010, but for many years. And so if you wanted to buy one, they're still available. I believe it's $13.99.
Wow, down to the price you actually knew. Okay.
I looked it up because I was like,
I'm
I
so
gotta see if
impressed.
this is really the Target one, and it is.
Well, let me also, since we're here, right here in this moment, on my first watch. Now, I haven't read the comic book, but I know some key plot points. So, Dwight has just come back from the sanctuary after trying to get this insulin. He's very happy. He sees Jay. He's very sad. Sherry comes in, and all you see is Sherry at first. And I thought to myself, what if instead of going back home to Dwight, let's say, she went back to the sanctuary and she was part of that group that's in the sanctuary? For a hot sec, I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, she reverted and
I did too.
she wanted to be the sanctuary queen. I was hoping
I
that somebody else
wasn't
thought the same, but yeah,
well, I wasn't sure if they were bad at that point because all you know is that he threatened Dwight. And
exactly.
but Dwight literally broke into their domicile. So I was like,
The
where is this
factory?
vocabulary coming from this evening? I have no idea. So I was like, is she with them? Is she like leading this group of people? What are they
She's
doing
she's
there?
gonna come walking down the stairs with a white mask on, and
Oh, like in season 6. Which, by the way, I appreciate the even that the mood of this episode as we walk into it has the same mood of his episode, his return in Fear the Walking Dead season 6, where it's creepy and then all of a sudden he sees a masked figure in the window.
the the opening shot of this episode of Dwight reflected in the lightning in the puddle is probably my favorite shot ever on this show. Except for the shot that I always do screenshots of June and Al in the helicopter. There's a really cool shot.
Oh
But
yeah.
that shot of the lightning flashing and illuminating Dwight in the puddle. It's like I told Phil last night. I missed like the next 20 minutes of the episode because all I could think about was how awesome that shot
That's
was.
interesting. Well, and you know what?
Okay.
There's two things I have to say about that actually. Well, first of all, my favorite shot is maybe to your surprise, maybe not. It's always the Laura. It's always the guns on the railing. It's the first thing that got me to that lit me up about fear is just the care that and which Phil actually also commented as well. Just everything in Laura in episode was it
Mm.
405.
Away too much of the interview.
405.
Stop.
Oh no, no, we're totally not. It's so voluminous.
Stop.
So- but
Shh.
but no, for my part, that's my favorite
Well,
example of how fear could
that
be.
shot that shot gave you everything you need to know about John Dory in that shot in that little opening shot.
Show don't tell,
That
right?
was that was great too.
Right.
We love that.
So
We love a show, don't tell.
the second thing is
So Bridget,
oh
oh,
wait
go
wait the
ahead.
second
Sorry.
thing I wanted to say about the lightning opening shot, the lightning itself, it's sort of a cinematic callback to King County is well, I think it is. No, it's the episode beforehand when Morgan wakes up in the puddle and it's raining and stuff. There is a sort of symmetry or aftermath, like rain falling, people in puddles, or people looking at puddles, and him waking Madison. That whole thing. Do you remember?
Oh, that. Oh,
There you go. See, that brought you back, right? I was like, what is he even
it
talking
did.
about?
It
Okay,
did.
I'll do the impression. Yeah, so there you go. As soon as I do that, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
We lived off of that impression for a couple weeks. So
For some
that's fair.
reason, it made me think of the end of season 6 when they go right before they find the cellar where they stay with.
Oh, Sherry and
I can't
Dwight.
remember. I
Okay.
can't remember their name now. But
Oh
for
yeah.
some reason, that shot reminded me of that when they go back when they find that place when they shoot the guy
Hmm.
and Sherry's like, oh man,
Oh yeah, the guy outside, and they lead the
yeah, it
other
was
guy
just
out.
right,
They
yeah.
blow it with the
I don't
horses, right? They pull the
I don't
thing.
know right. I don't know why it made me think of that, but it did. So
You know, think about it some more. Maybe it'll come to you because that's really interesting. And maybe because usually when you do think of something, it's usually something that's in there that made you think of that. So I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out. Oh, sorry, Bridget. I know I cut you off.
Well, Sharondy was going to share,
Oh,
I believe, or were you going to share what you
oh,
pointed out to me
I
during
was
the?
going to say you said that I pointed something out in Discord. Do you want to say what it is? Go ahead.
Um, no, you say it because I was so excited that you pointed it out because
all I'm
I'd
saying is
seen
that
it, but
this
I
this
like didn't
episode's
really
unbelievable.
register.
Unbelievable.
the St. Christopher's medal
Oh, okay, okay.
hanging on the walker
St.
that was
Christopher
over Sherry.
medallion, right?
Hmm.
It
I
was hanging off the walker's neck, and it was very prominent in the shot. Like it didn't look accidental. Like it was very prominently placed to where you could see it.
I
Well,
even
because it was
noted.
basically hitting Sherry in the forehead.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things to that. One,
You're blessed. You're blessed.
what's great about that is you actually get to see the walker walking towards her, and you see her wearing. I'm assuming it's a her because I had long hair. Had walking towards her, and just as you see the walker walking towards her with the St. Christopher medallion, the fence comes down on her.
Hmm.
That's like
That's
okay,
Alicia.
you're totally lost.
They found
Yeah,
Alicia.
I
They're all
was
looking
thinking
for
that too.
Alicia in the wrong place. That's Alicia. She's there.
And the second thing is
That's
getting notes today. I was thinking to myself because we had that conversation with Phil, and I was thinking to myself, okay, Phil's like, no, this is not good. This is not good enough. So Phil takes the medallion himself, all like on the top of the camera. He
Dangles
starts
it.
hitting Sherry in the head with the sinker. They won't get it if we won't literally hit them over the head with it. It's just keep hitting
I
Sherry.
was just, I mean, I saw all kinds of callbacks and stuff, but that was the one that really made me excited. I was like,
Hmm.
man, that was a sneaky little one they snuck in there.
Oh, you want to know something else I found out? So obviously the chess references both in Dwight's old room and
Yes.
in his house,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But did you notice which piece in the chess set he used to whittle out June's finger in the beginning?
Was it the queen?
He's the king, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw him grab it and then I wasn't sure what he was doing. If he, at first I was like, did he grab it and then grab, because there were just plain pieces of wood that he hadn't yet whittled.
Right.
And so I was like, is he grabbing that to do the other side? I wasn't sure
Yeah. But it was
if
the
he
king
was
piece,
holding it for comparison or
which
if
says a
that
Dwight
was.
lot.
gave June the finger.
The king finger instead of the ring finger. But I thought, first of all, I thought that was cool just on a level like, okay, this is what he thinks of June. She's worthy of taking that piece, right? She's the most important. She's the one that it's meant to protect. You're meant to
She's
protect the king,
She's the king. She's the king and the queen.
like Elvis.
Yes, like Elvis.
So, but I thought that was also interesting because if you're doing this, right, you're thinking there's an after, or at some point you may give it to her, or you leave it behind and she takes it, but at least you're thinking of her. So, as much as I don't want to say it, but I have to because in this episode, they did as much as everything else was on the nose, like everything was almost spelled out, as it usually is, but we don't mind this episode. The one thing they didn't spell out that was present throughout the entire episode is literally no one's gone till they're gone, which I thought was very clever because even in Dwight's darkest moment, he wasn't gone. He thought of June. He was whittling it down for June. Jay is even saying to him out loud, but not saying no one's gone till they're gone. He's saying, well, even if it's a week, a week of life is better than death immediately. And so there's things like that happen throughout this episode where they could say on the nose, no one's gone till they're gone, but they didn't, and that's great. Show don't tell.
Because Madison wasn't in it.
Well, but she was.
In
No,
spirit.
She wasn't. No, she wasn't because they didn't say no one's gone till they're gone. They completely.
But they
left
did
out-
say
which is great.
Madison left us to
Yeah,
pick up the
they were
pieces.
talking about what a
Yeah.
terrible person she was.
I think it's
Look at this.
delicious. I love that. I
This-
love that
this
she's.
lady just bounced and left us hanging, holding the bag.
Did I say I didn't even
feeling
get to say in the last few episodes how, like on the heels of what I said about her being intentionally painted as an awful character, I don't know how I didn't say this, but I feel like she is the villain that was promised from Erickson. But it's like we can't give you what you want the way you want it. We have to put our little stank on it. In a sense,
Be careful what you wish for. Right?
exactly. You might
It's
just get
I
it.
said the same thing when Madison came back, and I was like, yeah, y'all wanted her back, so they gave you a
wheezy.
oxygen junkie baby stealer.
Which, I mean, listen, as much as I'm going to say it again whenever I can, I'm a Madison fan, and I was not mad at that. I was like, yeah, be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. And we got it.
Yeah,
And it
I
wasn't
know.
great.
That's how I felt about it too.
She wasn't great. Not it wasn't. I think it was great, but because she wasn't great.
I think it was
Whereas
a good choice because there wasn't really any other way that you could do it, honestly.
Right.
I got the evil bad guy June that I wanted. I got exactly what I wanted. So thank you guys. I know
Yeah.
y'all
You
were
did.
listening to me.
You did. I'm gonna read a couple comments just because I noticed that it's getting
Away
really
from us.
far up to the top. So G Wilson says, not sure what any of you guys' death predictions are after this episode, but I could have sworn that Dove was gonna die in
I
this
said that
episode.
already.
Oh yes, you did. I thought Jerry was a goner, says Takira.
I don't want to. By the way,
Same, says David
I
Carranza.
don't want to do death predictions. That's not really.
I don't either.
It's too
I
close.
I keep I keep saying this on my own channel, but I'm not a huge fan of theorizing because one, inevitably I'm wrong and I don't like that.
I'm
And
okay with being wrong.
two,
It just like
two
at the top of the
well,
season,
I'm
I
not.
was fine with it. But like now that we're so close to the end, it's just not worth it.
I just want to wait and see how it plays out.
And you end up being that guy or girl that does this thing where like, well, Morgan didn't die, but oh man, what about this guy? You're like, when you guess the number and you guess 7, and then 7's already taken out. You're like, oh no, I meant 3. That's what you're doing when you do the death predictions. It's like you're kind of wrong, but you're kind of right, and they
It's
change
fine.
your
I mean,
mind.
people can predict. It's
I
just
know.
I'm not a huge fan.
It just
I
it's
don't
not a
like
good
being
look.
wrong.
It's
So
not a good look. Yeah.
G Wilson says, I'm loving the segue to the Target welcome mat promo. You're so welcome. The puddle shot was of Dwight was so cool. One of my favorite ones, along with that shot of the fire in Strand's glasses
In the
in
Abigail, yeah.
308.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that is a really good shot. It's a great shot.
Which was referenced in the Go Bag promo for Fear the Walking Dead that he did. Right, he did the
Yes.
Go Bag promo, and I don't know. I'll put it in the blog, obviously.
June did the other one.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. June did the first one. I think it was. All right, go on. Sorry.
Jason said on the train tracks, cool fact, the walker he looks at in the rain is none other than Jeff.
Jeff Wagoner.
My name Jeff. Jeff Wagner. Which that's awesome. And way to go, Jeff, because he's been prominent
This
in this
season.
back half of the season.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
And it
man.
doesn't hurt that he's a great guy too. Obviously.
Walking Dead Eternal says, I still refuse to believe that Alicia is dead. No way that she is. Troy's a liar, and that's all I'm going to say on that. David Carranza says, they are the cutest nerds. I assume, even though you use plurals for nerds, that you're still only talking about David.
Dave.
It's fine. The ones who talk, I refuse to believe it as well. I cannot even tell you how pissed I'll be if she died off screen.
I'll be okay.
Just Troy's a liar. Okay. From Twitch, Valdez,
By the
BT
way.
Dubs.
By the way.
I was up.
Hey, yo. What's up?
Was
What's up, Valdez?
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do something from the late '90s. You're welcome,
Maybe
babies.
earlier.
It's Walker saying what's up.
No, I
Oh,
have
can
to.
I just? I know
Okay.
we have one last comment, but oh no, why don't you read it? It's fine. It goes into it.
David says, if Alicia is in fact alive, I'll call it a win. I just don't see this getting fully wrapped in 3 episodes. I'm here to the end, though. Hard to say.
Hey, a lot can happen in 3
Hard
episodes.
to
I
say.
think we've said
We
this.
felt the same way about The Walking Dead flagship when that ended, that we felt like there was not enough time.
We were
and
panicking too.
yeah, and it wrapped up really lovely, I thought. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, but in the aftermath, we did say it would have been great to get at least a couple more episodes to fill in some of the Reaper stuff and maybe even some of the Commonwealth stuff, just racing towards the end for the Commonwealth. But again, Monday morning quarterbacking, right? At the time, yes, we were panicking because we're analysts. We get really, really wrapped up in narrative. And I'm sure that if you were binge watching it, I think it would have been fine, really.
Because I'm a millennial with anxiety. So this is what I do.
Well, so on the note of Alicia, though, and I know I'm skipping to the end, but I can't help myself. And maybe because it's the broken glass theory, once it's been broken, you can't not see it. When they reveal Tracy Otto on screen rather than some sort of promotional photo you stumble across because somebody doesn't know how to. Victor lifts the blindfold off of Tracy Otto, and my heart just sank. It's been a while since I felt something And I just thought Alicia for some reason, just like she's the listen, the actor whom if you guys know the actor's name, the actor who plays Tracy, uh, let me know who it is. But she's very expressive. I liked, and I'm sure this was a decision. I liked the screaming that she was doing before because everything was so jaunty. The music. Well, I'll get to the music when we get the chance. But the music was great. Victor's preparing this very nice and pleasant room for her, and then all of a sudden you hear screaming, and it's her. It's her voice, and
I like how she, when Victor said, "I'm Victor," and her eyes just got
yes, that's what I'm
Yeah, she
saying.
huge.
knew, like,
Like,
oh, your
I,
reputation precedes
I don't
you,
know if it's
sir.
she knew, but it doesn't matter. I just whatever this kid was doing, chef's kiss, and it made me
He's
think
also gone full Victor.
has
maybe
he
right.
though?
That's
Well, I was surprised because one, he was using his name again, but two, we've now kidnapped a child, which is
yeah,
like, if I'm not mistaken, the exact opposite
Well,
of what we were doing.
technically, he found a child because she ran away,
right.
and he just hasn't returned her to her parent yet.
Technically, the Germans
I
found the
wouldn't
child,
call
which
that
sounds bad.
kidnapping. But I feel like instead of Strand doing this for himself this time, the difference is he's doing it for everybody else.
And in his own way.
He's not doing it for himself.
Well, if I'm not
Which
mistaken, G.
I know
Wilson said something last episode about how in the last season, Strand, what I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me, that Strand was pushing away love
Yep.
in order to like win or protect what he needed to protect. And in this season, he's going to use that
Embrace.
love.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
So it might be a little bit of both. He's still stranding, but he's stranding
I
in
I
a
think
positive direction.
it's like Jamie Tart in
Ted
Ted
Lasso.
Lasso when they want Jamie to be a jerk when they need him to be a jerk. You know, remember the signal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now he needs to be Victor,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
which is also a mirror of Seven when he was trying not to be Victor, if you know what I mean. Like,
right.
Well, yeah, because he was Morgan Jones
Or at the end
for
of season
1
6.
second.
Yeah.
For a split second.
Yeah.
Jason says that the actor's name is Antonella Rose.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
thank you,
Yeah,
I
thanks,
knew it was
Jason.
announced. I just didn't have it offhand. I didn't have it on me. But can we go to the whole idea of did you get that feeling that I did? Like your heart sank? Did you see her as, oh my God, it looks so much like Alicia? She looks so much
No.
like Alicia.
No,
Okay.
no, I was
Okay.
like, oh, that for sure is not Alicia's kid, is what I thought.
Oh,
But
the eyes were a giveaway for me for some reason. Or I don't know.
well,
I'm not saying she
I felt
is.
like
Again, I'm not saying
maybe
she
it
is.
is somebody. Well, here's the thing: just because she doesn't look like Alicia doesn't mean that that couldn't be Alicia's child. We talk a lot about found family and adopting, especially in this series because there's been so many children in the recent seasons that have been adopted. So your kid doesn't have to look like you to be your kid.
Well,
Just saying.
yeah, yeah. But I guess to me, listen, I'm glad I prefaced it by saying I don't think it is. But the fact that it was said makes me think, okay, well it's in my head. I can't not think it now. And so when I saw it, like when I first watch these episodes, I make distinctive note of how I felt about something in that moment. Well, like, okay, when Sherry comes out of the car and it's Dwight and the mat, and all I could think of was the comic book storyline where she becomes the leader of the Saviors. Are you, Bridget? Everything okay? Oh, Frankie.
Yes.
Okay.
Typical Frankenstein.
But yeah, so I make note of these first impressions to kind of bring you back to your first impressions of what you may have thought of it in that moment. And so when I saw that, I couldn't not say that I instantly thought of Alicia for some reason. And the thought that also the thought that she may be dead as well, and thinking, oh, this is the last remnants of Alicia in my head. There's a lot of things happen in succession, like, oh, and so what would that mean for Victor as well? Like, okay, this is the last remaining portion. This is what's left behind after Alicia is gone, let's say. And I'm not saying she's gone either, but I'm saying I'm entertaining all these possibilities, right? So of course he would want to make her stay the best. And like if he finds out, it's like, oh, I have to protect her. I'm not willing to sacrifice for her anything. That's all these things came rushing to my head about what Victor would feel like too, and what the lengths that he would go to try to make even peace with Troy, somebody that, from his perspective, in his experience, was completely deranged. So it's like he would go to the ends of the earth to protect this child because it's Alicia's, that's her offspring. That's the last remnants of her. So I don't know. I just got flooded with emotions and thoughts from seeing this. Just this one kid's face. So I don't know. I thought it was noteworthy.
Dave cried.
Almost, actually. I don't know what it was. Listen, Alicia was never my favorite character. Ever. But what's great about her character, and I've said this before on the show, but I haven't said it in a while, I can appreciate the character so much because incrementally she got it over time. Those first 3 seasons were tough. Third season, you felt like, okay, interesting. And you know what? You can compare Alicia a lot to Dove. Okay? Her little whining, Dove's whining this episode. We've seen Alicia do that. Okay? She almost got everybody killed on the boat with the calling out on the radio. You know, I was like, oh, there's people out there. Anyway, my point is really that she grew over time and she grew on me over time. And so by the time you get to this point, same with Daryl, by the way. I was never a Daryl fan. The sudden prospect of him dying actually caught me off guard. I'm like, no, what? No, it's Daryl. I think it's clever that when you can do that with a character, it just doesn't get you at first, and like over time it kind of grows on you. And now, of course, Daryl Dixon comes around. I'm like, I'm in love. I'm a Daryl fan now. What's up? What's going on here?
Welcome.
How did that happen?
Welcome.
In Dog.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Was it In Dog We Trust? Is that what
Yeah.
it is? Okay. The shirt Charity's wearing right now for the audio podcast listeners.
That shirt was picked out at the Woodbury shop in Sonoy, Georgia.
Which you can get from their
Yes, it
website.
was.
Isn't
You
it
can.
the Woodbury shop or woodburyshop.com?
Woodburyshop.com, and
PPE?
it is SHOPPE,
Yeah.
as in ye old Woodbury shop.
Exactly.
Shoppy.
Shoppy.
Ye old shoppy.
Okay, so let me just read a couple comments before we move on, because we're going to move on. Did you guys see the Orphan Black Echoes episode yet? No, because I'm busy doing this thing for you guys.
Yeah, we're talking about Fear the Walking Dead. I've got to watch the episode like 3 times. When am I supposed to watch other things?
No, I'm psyched for it, though. I was a huge Orphan Black fan, and so I'm
American or British?
What? There's a British version of Orphan Black?
I thought there was. Am I crazy?
Yeah, you're crazy. Actually, the Orphan Black that you're talking, the Orphan Black that it was filmed in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, mostly. So
I don't know. Maybe I am nuts.
we'll revisit that. G. Wilson says Strand getting sorry. Wow. I did not prepare myself for that. Strand setting up in the same room. Madison was oh, thank you for mentioning that, G. Wilson's. I almost forgot about that. G. Wilson says Strand setting all this up in the same room Madison was trapped in since she came to Padre. Because you see him put the draping or whatever it was behind the scratches marking the days Madison was in Padre, in the cellar for Padre. Takir says, I checked and it still wasn't out in the USA. Oh, Orphan Black Echoes. Okay. It's today of the day. Maybe. Antonella Rose. Thank you, Jason. G. Wilson says, the way I see it, Troy no longer has leverage over the main group with Strand having Tracy in their custody. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, good. Because with our group, they may make a better deal with Troy. And as we've seen in the last episode, it's quite possible that he might make that deal, considering all the people in tow, if he really does care about those people. G. Wilson's also says, between Madison being threatened by Troy and all the Padre kids and Frank and Klaus being threatened, Strand now has a bigger obligation to do the right thing. And I think he's going to feel that. And if it turns out that that is Alicia's child, he would even be further, just like Frank and Klaus, be further inspired to make sure this goes off okay. And G. Wilson's also says, I didn't mention this early, but I didn't even make the connection to the necklace in that scene with Sherry until you brought it up. Well, that's what we do sometimes. But
Well,
with
now
your
you
help.
feel hit over the head with it.
Yeah, we hit you
Literally
over the
this
head with the St. Christopher medallion. Which, by the way, we should remind everybody, St. Christopher is the patron saint of lost
souls.
souls. Yeah. I was gonna say lost causes. I'm like, no, that's me. Anyway,
I thought it was Lost Souls. Is it Lost Goblins?
It's no, it's Lost Souls. It's Lost Souls. Yeah,
Okay.
or the Lost. Patron Saint of the Lost, essentially, and the of Travelers as well. Travelers. Tahir says, me and Bridget have been here for 13 years. Welcome, Dave. The Daryl fan. Yeah, well, everybody, I was a fan of Father Gabriel from the jump. And now all of a sudden, because he goes, call me Gabriel, everyone's like, oh, ginseng their pants. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're all posers and you're all sus.
I am, and I bought my Father Gabriel shirt, so suck it, Dave.
And of course, David Kranza, because I love him so much, because he loves me so much. I believe in David Campbell's supremacy. Listen, even I don't believe in that because nobody wants that. I've done go to the first AMA we ever did. It was very awkward. That means going back in time, folks. Now I have to reference it in the blog. God damn it. Okay. Walking Dead Eternal says, Troy reminds me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones and how he doesn't care about anything. See, I said that, but I'm recanting that. I recanted that in the last episode. But what do you guys
He
think?
does care. He cares about his daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I would not be
Mad?
avoiding watching someone slap the crap out of him 2 or 3 times.
But then he won't say all those clever lines anymore because he'll be traumatized. He'll be, oh. Can you imagine
That
Daniel
never-
Sharman?
Tyrion slapping Joffrey never stopped Joffrey from doing anything.
That's true.
True. So he just got up and became stronger. And Takir says I became a Gabe fan during my favorite episode, way before Call Me Gabriel. Well, prove it.
I want to
podcast?
correct myself,
Okay.
Dave. There is no American version of
No, it's
Orphan
Canadian.
Black.
Yeah.
It was produced by the BBC.
CBC. Oh,
my-
yeah. BBC
My
America.
dad,
Yeah.
my dad had the DVDs, and so they're in my house because I was like, I would like to watch that, and then I never watched it. And they had the BBC logo in the corner,
Yeah.
so I always,
Yeah. It's,
So I assumed when everybody was raving about it that there was some sort of American version, like Becoming Human, which I also refused to watch both of those. So I tried, and then I was like, "This is kind of boring." And
it's
I
a
couldn't
shame
get
because
into
Sam
it.
Witwer is such a great actor. And again, connection to the Walking Dead universe. He was the soldier that was in the tank when Rick, in one of the, was it the first episode, second episode? I can't remember
Yes.
which.
First,
Second.
second.
Yeah. So Sam Witwer, who knew? Talented actor, great
Well,
podcaster too.
End of first. Very end of first.
Reanimates
Because
in the second.
beginning of the second episode is the radio with Glenn.
Okay. Dumbass. Okay, so where do we go next? And,
Wait.
Actually, I have a really bad headache, so I'm gonna go. I just
no.
want to say one more thing.
Oh, no.
I just want to say one more thing. The only thing that could have made this episode better is when they were all giving their names at the end. Dwight says, "Call me Dwight," and Dove says, "Call me Odessa." If June had just popped out with one more name to go with her list, that would have made it perfect. So
Right.
we have Laura, Naomi, June, JD, Blue Jay, and we needed something else to go right there. That's all I'm saying.
Ishmael. Literary joke.
I mean, like Woodfinger.
Woodpecker. Anyway, wow. Well, thank you
June
for
of
that
House
insight.
Woodfinger. All right. I love you guys. I have a terrible headache. I gotta go.
Well,
Oh,
join us
me
in the
too.
chat if you can.
I might.
Go
do that.
no, go get in the dark.
No.
Yeah.
Go
I
That's
know,
more
I'm
likely.
very resistant and selfish.
I love you anyway, Dave. If you are resistant, and selfish.
That's how I
She'll
express
give
my
you
love.
a finger, Dave.
I'll give you a wood finger.
All right, I'll prepare myself.
So thank you guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful night. I hate to bounce, but I love y'all, and keep your eyes peeled on us for Secret Santa and charity news. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Good night, Sharon D. Feel better.
Thank you. Bye.
And with that, there were two.
And you've only got me for another half hour, so
And then I get to do this by myself?
And then you can do
What?
this by yourself.
I don't like it at all. And I don't know if there's even that much to talk about, to be honest with you.
There's really not. We talked about the callbacks, which was, and I really wanted to talk about the doormat, so I'm glad I got to do that.
You were really, now I get to list that doormat in our blog. for people
You're
to
welcome, everybody.
purchase. I got to see if Target has a referral program. We got to get paid. Come on.
Can we be affiliates? Target
We're
affiliates.
already Amazon
Um,
affiliates, by the way. Wink, wink.
are we really?
Well, in a manner of
This
speaking,
is
yeah.
news to me.
I don't think it's actually working for us, but we'll
Well,
see.
you haven't linked anything.
I have, but I'm stealth
Oh, well, you got to tell me when you link things, Dave.
in the blog.
Because if I'm gonna buy them anyway, then I'll buy it through your affiliate link.
Well, guys, you should read the blog. And also our blogs, even though I've tried to scale them back in terms of content, it's just full of literature. And if you want to digest the podcast that way, you might as well, in a sense, because we kind of go through everything. And even some of the editor's notes, like I think I even mentioned, do you remember in Anton, that scene that you had said looked shot for shot like the one
Yes.
in season 6, the holding? Well,
Yes.
I put those two GIFs together because they're GIFs side by side. Other than a cut that was made in Anton, where they cut like a middle piece out to make it seem like it wasn't the same
Yeah.
recording.
It
Also,
was?
also the way it was framed, it was the same exact shot. Little color correction,
Justify!
a little color correction. They framed the shot so that their heads wouldn't be in it, but it's the same exact shot. Now wait, it could also be a different take, but the way the frittata lands on the plate is the exact same way.
Thank you.
So
Thank
vindicated.
you.
Another reason to,
Vindicated.
you know what? You don't have to read the whole blog, but sometimes it's just worth skimming through A to see the GIFs, B to see the editor's notes, C to get links to the references that we drop in this episode so that you can read them for yourself. And one of them is definitely going to be the song that plays at the end, by the way,
And the Target welcome mat.
and the
which,
Target welcome mat, which you can
That
also
what
when
an easy way to have a prop from Fear the Walking Dead.
yeah, very economical. And,
$13.99.
and wait till Black Friday. You might even get it for cheaper than
It's
$13.99.
true.
Guys, we're doing you favors today. Anyway, let's read
Make
a couple.
sure you use your Target circle number.
Eh.
I am obsessed. Anyway, moving on.
We'll get to that. No, I'm kidding. We won't. It's
I
Bridget's
work for
couponing
them,
position, right?
apparently. I don't. I don't. But let's move on.
So, you think of something while I read more comments to say next?
There are literally 2 comments, and I can't think of anything that fast. So,
Well, everybody says really basically feel better, Sharondy. So that's very nice of you.
yeah, I'm trying to think of what else in this episode I really wanted to land on, but really we've kind of talked through all of it. I mean, was it cool to see the sanctuary demolished? Yes.
Yes.
It was amazing. I
Well,
loved that.
Isn't there something great about the finality of it in that we're getting a little bit more finality in the Walking Dead universe? Well, in the Walking Dead specific flagship show. And also
Yeah.
for all our talk about saviors, and listen, the question still remains what happened to the saviors after Negan's fall. I mean, some of them did go with our people, but what happened to the rest of them, right? And so there's a
Yeah.
little bit more of that in this episode, I think, and I think that's kind of
Yeah.
nice. And even if there are still some, there ain't anymore. So, and they're not at the sanctuary at least. But you know what? Me mentioning the Croat in this episode, and it's interesting because when did that even happen? Now, it's true that it could have happened any time in the years that followed Negan's fall, right? Croat's looking for Negan, etc., and then he runs into Jerome. When was that? Had to be before this because he couldn't have run into Jerome after that. So I don't know, it just made me
Well, I
think
mean,
of
it
that.
could have.
I guess on the road, but yeah.
Yeah.
I just
He
assumed
doesn't
that he went
say
to the
specifically
sanctuary.
where.
Yeah.
No, that was just like that was a theory that we threw together, but I don't. Nothing was said otherwise, so I think that's all still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I
Yeah.
think. I think if anything, like maybe one of these guys was a savior or knew the saviors and knew like their MO because of the fire. That's the only reason that I would even remotely think that. The fire and I guess the metalhead walkers, but wouldn't people just come up with stuff like that on their own?
Yeah, that's
using walkers as a defense has been used by tons of different
can't be unique, right?
people. So
And they
if
have a
you make
forge.
them more resilient in some way,
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to remember
exactly.
that
So
they left a forge behind to make bullets, to do all these, to make the
yeah.
cast the lead on their heads, etc. So,
Hmm.
of course, you use what you got, and there must have been metal lying around that they could melt and smelt, and melt it and smelt it,
Yes.
and who dealt it. So there's a lot of things here.
Uh, I think
There were some cool
I.
lines too, though, that kind of harken back to the time at the Saviors in the Sanctuary, like the guy saying, Phil saying to Dwight at the furnace, now an example needs to be made. Which after just flashing back to Negan saying,
Mhm.
there's always a cost, rules matter. Who are you, Dwight? So that's another thing that
Well,
Negan would
that's why I
say.
was like, okay, so are they talking? Is he specifically talking about burning faces? Because the iron is still there, and he saw Dwight's face, and he's like, someone did a number on you. So
Let's do
I
another
was
one.
curious about that, but again, this is all just conjecture. Who knows? These people could just be schmoes off the street.
Well, no, when I say that, I really only mean that just like the Finch thing, and just like, oh, what was the other thing that I said was like almost fourth wall breaking? Like, come on already! Like, you gotta be kidding me. Uh, he was. I'm not saying he was saying that because Negan said that, but I'm just saying that it was said, and it brings you back to something Negan said. So it's like that. Come on, how on the nose can you be, writers? Let's say, and so, but and
Yeah.
even well, even the way Marty, who happens to be the bald ginger guy,
Hmm.
who greets everybody,
He's a that guy because
I thought he
I
was excellent.
recognized him
Yeah,
from other
exactly.
things. I was like, oh, it's that guy.
It's that
Oh, he's a
guy.
that
He's
guy.
definitely that guy. He's definitely been in a lot of Tribune Entertainment or CBC, because he has a sort of Canadian accent to him too, like a Newfoundland.
He's been in. I feel like he's been in like sitcoms, and I recognized him. I was like, I know that guy
I
from
don't know about
somewhere.
sitcoms, but definitely a lot of sci-fi, maybe sci-fi stuff. I mean, the channel,
Hey,
but
love it.
also his behavior is kind of like Negan. He puts the gun away. He's not worried about getting shot, and he just comes off as somebody who's like, you know what, I'm gonna get these guys on my side, And he sort of, that was his tack. His tack was to, so you know what, listen, and he was Dwight was about to do that. This guy was convincing enough for Dwight to actually put down his weapon, and he says, "You know what? I'll do this again, yet again, for another Negan to keep these people safe. There must be consequences." And Sherry wasn't having it. That's another thing I really liked and wrote down. Like when she hears that Dwight went back to the sanctuary, her whole body language changes.
Hmm.
You She gets up first of all, and her face kind of, instead of going, her eyes are wide open and looking around, like all of a sudden she says the sanctuary. He says the sanctuary. Her eyes kind of relax. She gets up. She turns into a badass. Basically, she goes, "Nah, this ain't happening again. This ain't happening again." And then what did she say? Something assholes or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember the line.
Screw you, assholes. Something like that. And she starts shooting.
Yeah, she just loses it,
Yeah,
which was great.
rather than have her husband be subservient so that she can remain, well, they kept each other safe at the sanctuary. She was subservient to Negan, he was subservient to him, and they kept each other safe from getting killed. So anyway, I just like that she was not about to let that happen again. It doesn't matter that Dove was shot. It doesn't matter that
Yeah.
it's in a dire situation. I really particularly love that. Thanks for the pick, Jason. I'll check it out when we're done. Uh, and Walking to Eternal says, I literally forgot who started the Rick and Negan war. Rick's crew or Negan's crew. Doesn't really matter.
Arguable on
all that
both
matters,
sides.
all that matters is who finished it. Carl. Tear. Technically.
No, I know, but I don't like it.
Poor,
I don't
poor
like
baby
it.
Carl. Sweet baby Carl. Anyway, so I like the Dr. Carson references. June is exactly the same pun. And yeah, I mean, this episode wouldn't have been as good without the June stuff. That was like the sleeper. Because it's easy to see that June's the kick-ass lady, and it's like I needed that extra turmoil that we got from that second episode of this season, which is again really good episode.
And there were, like I said, there were a few moments of clunky writing. There were a few moments of things that I was like,
Honestly, it was everywhere.
nobody
But
washes their hands anymore. Nobody
Dwight
cleans
pouring the
anything.
alcohol, it's like
Nobody cleans anything at all. There were moments of that, but other than that, I felt like overall this episode was really well done, and it was a much needed reprieve. I feel in the midst of the story that we've been receiving. Um, this made me feel like, okay, this isn't all. It's not all bad. It's
and
not all
also,
bad.
yeah, it's an answer to the call we were making from season 6 and season 7, which I know season 6 was all about we had to, at least for the most part, they had to film anthology style, or they were trying something out. Season 7 they
Hmm.
continued that, but then we were like, come on, we can't handle this. Our hearts are hurting. We need our people somewhat together. And I've, at least for this season, for most of the season, my heart was hurt, I think. Like, out of all the critiques you could have about the season, the one thing that they at least got right in the last half, at least, is that for the most part, you got a nice chunk of people acting together. And the fact that it was Dwight, Sherry, June, at least, having that return
Hmm.
from the second episode, it's almost like a, was it like a call and response? No, it's like a canon in music. A canon is like a familiar phrase in music. So having that gang back together again to kind of heal from that episode, I thought that was very nice.
Well, again, they're wrapping everything up. They're tying up all these loose ends. They're mirroring things and bringing pieces of the story full circle. So I'm glad we got this episode, and it made me more hopeful for sticking in there for these last couple. Um, because I mentioned before, yeah, I get really fired up on these episodes, and I'll talk a lot of trash, and I'll get loud and angry, but really, I'm hurt.
Ooh, you sounded really loud there. Really,
That was weird. I
it
literally
was.
did nothing.
It
I
was.
did nothing, Dave.
Well, let's say that again,
Um,
just for my editing purposes.
that was
That
weird.
scared the hell out of me. Did you guys hear
I
that,
was
by the way?
really I was really hurt. I've been hurt over this. I've been
Yeah.
hurt. I don't want to be treated like an idiot, and sometimes that's how this feels. And I jumped at the same time Dave did. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't do anything. I apologize. Um, I I was really I just I was hopeful that okay, so we brought Madison back. I wasn't 100% on board for that, but fine. I didn't hate her as a character.
You better
I
watch it.
liked the first 3 seasons. I've told you before,
I know.
season 3
I
is my
know.
favorite
You're like
season.
my saving grace, by the way, when we talk about Madison.
I
It's
know.
like, okay,
I
just
know.
thank God you're here, even if you don't like her or whatever. At least you still
No,
appreciate her.
season 3 was my favorite season, and I there are parts of her story arc that I really enjoyed, and there's I loved her family. Whether or not that meant I loved her all of the time, no, I've expressed my issues with her character and the self-sabotage and
Oh, I like that you
the
framed it that
doing
way.
doing things to I put my family 100% first, but that means that I'm willing to screw over every Tom, Dick, and Harry to get there.
Yeah.
And something about that rubs me the wrong way.
But
But
there's like a value in it, essentially. There's
yeah,
something
all of that to be
redeeming about that.
said, so you brought her back. I wanted this to be redemption for a lot of people, and we weren't getting that at first. At least if we were, the writing was so ham-fisted that it felt like, okay, get it? Do you get it yet? I'm gonna say it 6 times. Do you get it now?
Which
And
was in this episode, but we don't mind.
so it was easy for me to feel really like disappointed. This redeems it a little bit. I'm feeling a little more hopeful. It's not 100%. It's not what I would have done if I had been in this job and been in this situation and written for this.
First of all,
But
I'd leave because it's too hard. It's really
it's super
hard.
hard. You're not going to please everybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but do more of the show don't tell. Please.
Yeah.
Please
Well,
give us a little bit of that in
y-
this last couple episodes cuz I'm we're not that dumb. We're not, I mean some of us are, but the majority, the overwhelming majority are not.
Are not what? Sorry.
that dumb.
Oh, that dumb. Okay.
I mean, I said some of us are because some people are, but
Yeah, and some people do need that help. And again, this is why we're here too. Even if some of the episodes are obvious, I mean, we have a lot more fun with things like Tales or, well, especially Tales, because it's not easy to see some of the grander narratives too. But listen, on the note, as you were talking, I did notice one thing, and it's prevalent among not only. So we're talking about Madison, but some of the high protagonists, and I would consider Morgan a high protagonist. Like essentially all of our people, all of our survivors, the ones that we follow, the ones that want to succeed, are our protagonists. But high protagonists are like Rick Grimes,
sure.
and I'm going to consider Morgan Jones among that, right? But
Well, he
Madison as
was
well.
on this show for a season, and I don't mean like a literal season, but I mean for a period of
For a
time.
time, yeah,
Yeah,
I know. For every season, there's a anyway. I know what you mean. But what's interesting about all of them is that let's see how you are when you lose your children. Let's say, so losing Carl. Let's say, for example, Morgan losing Dwayne. Madison, because you, as you were talking about why Madison does what she does, because you loved her, you as a viewer loved her children. So it seems like even if some of those decisions were poor, you know why she was doing it because you love them too. But she loves
yeah.
them more. Do you know what I mean? So she's willing to go further than you normally would for those children. But this season has all been about, and whatever the last episode of the last season, it's all been about. Well, what does Madison look like without them? And it's the same, and it's interesting because it's the same as Rick. It's the same. And Morgan points this out before he leaves for Fear the Walking Dead. He says what sorry, Rick points this out to Morgan. I had my son. You know? This is right after he was saying to all those save your remainders in the bar in season 8 episode 15, I want to say. A man's word is only as good as whatever. I forget what it was, but and then he proceeds to kill all of them, which is
Yes.
something that he probably wouldn't normally do. Like he would keep his word, but like if not for his son to be an example of somebody from the future. So you're getting that with Madison this season. This is the only thing that's I like about. Yes, they are doing a little show don't tell by way of Madison being awful because she's rudderless. She's absolutely rudderless. There's no reason for her to really keep on the narrow other than trying to prove herself to these new children. And she has to figure out that, yeah, you need to bring that Madison for these children at the very least. At the very least. And
How
believe that
interesting then that she immediately leaves.
what but I love that you said that because it's exactly what Dwight does. He realizes that he's the problem and he leaves.
I get
Thank
that,
you.
and for once I was like, you're right. You you should dip. You've only made things worse. I'm mad that you made things worse and then dipped. Thanks.
But I like that there's a
But
myriad to this. Like, yes,
yeah.
you made things worse, or yes, Dwight, you tried to make things better, or June, no matter how hard you try and how good you are at this, at healing people or whatever, it just wasn't enough. And there's a strata of this feeling and this behavior that I'm really
Yeah.
admiring. And you need it. You need it to because it's a canon, it's a repeating theme. And
Well, and I guess what I hoped out of this was one, I wanted redemption for Strand because season 7 was
entertaining to
just
say the
why.
least.
Just why. Just why is all I have to ask about it because Strand had made so much progress as a character and there was so much character development there and we just immediately undid it. And I expressed
Hmm.
my concerns at the time and my disgust for those decisions at the time, but I digress. Moving on from that, I
Well,
wanted redemption for him as a character because we know him as a con man. That's all he's ever been. And I wanted to see that softer side of Strand that we've always known is there, that we've seen in moments for seconds, and then we lose it. And so I wanted that, but I did want redemption to some degree for Madison. I wanted her to put other people first.
Other than
And
her
we still
children.
and we still haven't seen that. But you know, Dave, that
Yeah.
in those situations where she's putting her children first, it's not because of her children. It's because of their like just ragingly unhealthy codependency on each other.
Hmm.
Madison more so. It's more on Madison's side than anybody else because Nick leaves because he's like, "You're messed up and you're messing me up." And then Alicia has to be like, "You can't focus on anyone but Nick, so I have to go." They both leave her for those faults that those huge flaws that she has as a person,
And I've
which is
argued this
fine.
before.
Everybody has flaws.
And I've argued this before. And what I liked about her is that she let them, which gave me even more of a
Yes.
dimension to that character because you
Yes.
could easily say, "Oh, she's willing to do anything for a kid." See, that's why I never go quite to the conclusion that she's codependent, right? That's the one thing that like, okay, she knows how to give that, she knows how to leave distance, which I will attribute to her being a guidance counselor. Okay, she has the wherewithal to know when to step back. But I like that there's that duality. Is that
Mhm.
as long as they're around
Well,
her, or even if they're not, she'll give them the best chance at surviving and figuring things out for themselves.
I think you can always argue too that some of it is wow, emotional manipulation on her end to some degree. Like, sure, you can think that what you're doing is your choice right now. That's fine. There
What?
is some of that. And I mean, she
Okay.
has a background in psychology. Of course she would be able to manipulate people. It's it's in the writing. But I say all this to say I really do hope that there is some sort of redemption for her. And I don't just mean redemption for this wheezy mess that we have, but I mean redemption for season 1 Madison, redemption for this character that I didn't hate, that I didn't love, but that I who grew on me. I wanted
Much
to
like
see what
Alicia did for me,
happened.
I suppose. Yeah.
I wanted to see what happened. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know if she and Travis would make it. I wanted to know how any of this would go. I wanted to see it all. It's the reason I even watched this show, despite the fact that a lot of people moved over from Walking Dead to this and said, "Nope, not for me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I agree. I,
You said it was all going to be about the outbreak, and I only saw an entire season of it, but I'm going to say it wasn't enough.
it's never gonna be
And
enough, right?
what, you guys?
But you know what? I think more than redemption, because I'm absorbing what you're saying. I think for me, going back to what I said before, and maybe marrying it a little bit with what you said about Madison, I think less about redemption for me is finding out who do you become. It's the age old TWDU question. The Walking Dead universe allows you to be the person you were meant to be, right? Which on
Yeah.
Fear is a little bit wonky, right? It's there. It's definitely there. It wasn't as much there in the first 3 seasons, and I always acknowledge, at least with the first 3 seasons, is that this is all about a normal, albeit dysfunctional family, in this bubble navigating through this apocalypse. They're in many ways attuned to because of their dysfunction or whatever, but they're a normal family. And then season 4 comes around and it's like, okay, now we're turning into the Walking Dead universe is what you were meant to be. And now they're a part of it too. They got broken up. Nick dies. Alicia becomes this other thing that you got hints of in season 3, but now she's becoming something more. Becoming a leader, let's say, or trying to, and
Mhm.
falling short, which again, I like. I like these incremental knockdowns, get ups, trying to figure that out. Maybe I'll be like Strand a little bit and be brutal, and I'll shoot a rocket launcher at Althea's truck or whatever it is. My point is, there's a little of that. Now it's Madison's turn. Now she has to, because she's been st- stealing babies for however long. Okay, but again, this is not her stepping into the universe just yet. Now she is. And without her children this go around. So who are you now without the very thing that was your signature move, which is protecting your kids or making sure that they had the best chance, whatever it was? Who are you now? And that's what I'm excited to see. It doesn't have to be redemption for me. It's about, because that's what it is. People will say the Walking Dead universe for me as a person that views it. Oh, what would I be like? But it's what you were meant to be doesn't always mean it's a good thing. What you were meant to be is like Simon. That's what you're meant to be. And maybe you try to
Well,
grab
yeah.
the brass ring and you fail or
Well,
you fall short.
I've said this before. Like, we all envision that we'd be like Daryl, right? Like, that's your hope. Like, I'll be like Daryl.
And then I respond with,
Guess what?
you'd
We're
be the
all
governor.
orange backpack guy.
At best, you're the orange backpack guy asking for help, begging for help. And at worst,
Begging for help and then
you're the
dying, and then your
governor.
backpack is stolen.
You're Philip Blake. Or, yeah, that's Philip Blake on the show. So, figure it out, folks. Figure it out. Be real with yourselves. Confront your narcissism. Okay? Anyway.
Anyway, that's all I have to say on that.
I do want to remark on one thing, and that was at least, because who knows where we'll go next, but I like that, first of all, Dove gives the business to everybody saying that you can't help me. It's totally realistic. How is a kid supposed to believe in their own future if these people can't believe in theirs or believe that she has a future? Mm-hmm. So there's that. The other part, the other part of that is that obstinance that children have, that unrelenting optimism that they have to have, or because they don't know they're gonna die. They still, even on death's door, they think that they're not going to die. So that's legit. Like, I'll do it myself. That's legit. That's legit. But then you realize once you lose a lot of blood and you're getting woozy and about to pass out. So it takes us to the end in the furnace when she goes, June, I don't want to hurt you. Dove says, then don't. And Sherry says, you can do this, June. What happened to you, et cetera, et cetera. And then Dove says, basically, I boiled it down to, I like literally paraphrased Dove. It says, you can tell me after you've done the surgery, basically. And so I write, what choice do I have but to trust you? You're literally my best shot. She says, do you trust me? June says. And in my head, I'm like, I really have no choice but to trust you. So,
she's like, I'll tell you after.
Yeah, tell me when. I'll tell you after I'm alive. So.
Well, because that's the thing. You die, well, what does it matter if I trusted you
anyway? Yeah.
So,
but
yeah,
but even that I liked that in a weird way.
Yeah, I liked that line. I liked that in
a weird way because it's, again, in a way it's fourth wall breaking, but in another way it's something that we spoke about with Phil again, is that sometimes there's some characters that walk into this universe like Wes in season 5. And he kind of looks at all these people with all their hope and the impossible is possible stuff. And he goes, what are you talking about? This is awful. This is awful. I have trauma for my brother and him dying supposedly. But no, he's back in season 6. But anyway, like, well, how did that happen? Well, the impossible is possible, folks. God damn it. These guys are right. How are they right? They're like fairy tale characters. My point being is that sometimes you need characters like Jay or Dove or Wes in this universe to keep things interesting, like, because it gets really serious and sometimes you need a little levity. So Dove giving them the business to me was, yes, equal parts dramatic, because she, again, Jayla really brought it this episode. I like that she didn't hold back. I like that. I know it seems annoying, but to me it was really authentic.
It felt sincere.
Yeah, it was authentic.
It felt sincere, if anything. And yeah, it is almost kind of. Nope, it's in the interview. Watch the interview.
Yeah, watch the interview.
I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah, watch the interview.
I'm not going to say anymore.
Phil
There's a really
McLaughlin.
beautiful piece that Phil shares about this, and it's poetic, and you should watch the interview because I'm not going to say it right now. And that's all she wrote, folks.
Yeah, that's all she performed, folks. Let's read a couple comments and then we can
put that in your pod and smoke it.
Yeah.
I mean, stream it, whatever.
Or stream it.
I can't get it right.
Yeah,
I can't get it right.
So G. Wilson says, I've been liking Madison more on her own for the reason that's been brought up. I get being overprotective at the very start to a degree, but I also like her opening up to others. Yeah, and gradually she does, even to some people that we don't like the Elder Otto. What was it? Jake, Troy. Who's the Elder Otto?
Oh my gosh, this is really
wow, right? The guy who was on Deadwood with her.
Anarchy.
Jake, Troy.
Why is this not coming
I don't
to
know.
me?
I don't know. It's just
Let's move
it's
on.
not in
I'm
my head.
embarrassed.
Anyway,
I'm so embarrassed. This is mortifying.
Lois and even Kalataka Walker. She opens up a little bit to him too, and then she ends up opening
Well,
up to her kids after that.
my favorite Madison Jeremiah.
Thank
Thank you, Walking
you,
Dead.
thank you, Walking Dead Eternal.
Oh,
Jeez,
I'm so
it is a tough
embarrassed.
name to remember. For goodness sake.
I'm so embarrassed. Um, my favorite interaction that Madison had, probably of all the seasons, is in the bar with Strand
Oh yeah, yeah,
when
exactly.
she opens up to Strand.
And it would be the first
So
person she opened up to. What does she have to lose, really?
yeah,
Think about it.
yeah.
Yeah, second season in the hotel bar, right? Rosarita.
Hmm.
Okay, so Dave Caron says, "Ooh, wait." Lois says, well, almost missed it. Lois says, "I feel like it's just work to her, and we're not getting the Madison we know." Fair point in a way, but again, all the things I brought up, I'm getting the sense that this is the Madison that is without her kids, and we don't know who that Madison is. I'd like to get to know her, and I think she would too. I think she's having a hard time finding her footing right now, and I think that that in a way is authentic too. As much as we don't like it at the time on the ground level, I think there's something interesting about that to me. And the more episodes progress, the more I'm starting to get it, even though I didn't like it at first either. David Cron says Madison feels like a side character, anti-hero. Agree with both, actually. Side
Hmm.
character and anti-hero. But I agree, let's give her a proper redemption, at least that last 3 episodes. Of course you would say that. You're a very sweet boy. I'm going to say that again and again. But then again, you cannot please everybody. Also true. I know they're trying to, and I know they're paying some really great fan service in the last few episodes. So kudos. Where kudos are due. Takira says, I love you guys. Well, I love you too, Takira.
Love you too.
And the corrections on Jeremiah
Hey,
Otto.
Shauna.
And Shauna. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Dave. Hi, Shauna. How are you? We missed you. It's been a while. We haven't seen you since Dead City, I think, right? On these live streams?
No, she's been around.
Oh, I must have missed her. Listen, I can't please everybody, right, David Carranza? G. Wilson says, I just want Madison Strand to have a drink at the end of the series. They've seen so much stuff since the hotel in season 2. Listen, it's what we want, but man, I don't know if we're gonna get it, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, let's see if there's anything else.
Well, I have to go, so you're on your own.
Well, let's just wrap it up, folks. Cause guess what? If you like what you heard, I don't know. I don't know what I was doing there.
I don't know what you're doing either.
Well, if you like
It
what
was
you heard,
weird.
head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawking dead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. And please remember to tell us that what we might have missed. And remember to tell us after every episode, and wherever you feel deemed important, whether it's Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, even Spotify has a rating system. So that's and it's just stars. You just put the stars. But tell us after every episode. And if you really like what we're doing, head on over to either Ko-fi or Patreon. That's ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead. You don't have to buy us a coffee to get the unedited episode recordings, and you don't have to join a membership tier for as little as $1 a month. All we ask is you follow us so that you can get our recording schedule. You can get the little tidbits or at least notifications along the way about things that we're doing in the background. But should you tip us, you will get the unedited episode recordings, and you'll also get the Dave's notes at the end of this live stream that went into this episode, which has been pretty. I've gotten some good feedback on that, which thank goodness. And when you join a membership tier, you'll get instant access to our Discord, where we can have extended conversations. You'll definitely know when we're planning to have a live stream or a pre-recorded episode, because we make that information public in our logistics channel. So consider joining. Hey, and some of you have already joined a membership tier, or at least have been following us, and can take that next step. Join a membership tier for as little as $1. You can get into our Discord and have further conversations with us that are off topic too. We have an off topic channel that you can create a thread on, and we can talk more about that. So again, ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead. And again, just follow for free, get the schedules for free, and join us for free. So with that, everybody, one of the perks that you receive when you join a membership tier as a Whispers or Survivors tier, survivors get to join us in our episode breakdowns, is shout outs at the end of this episode. And those survivors so far are Elisa at Elisa Jones 71 on Instagram or at JonesAG6 on Twitter or X. Fanart Lindy, who you can reach at ko-fi.com/fanartlindy. And of course, our benefactor and lovely man at Real Ryan GM on X or Twitter. Moving on to our Whisperers tier members, we've got quite a few. It's at Judith.Morton on Instagram. Our longest running, I should say this because it deserves to be said, our longest running, I think, member
Oh, wow.
on our platforms. I should mention that.
That's awesome.
So at Judith.Morton on Instagram. Aiden Atkin, who you can reach at ko-fi.com/Aiden Atkin. At Tyler Philip Cox on both Instagram or X. At sandy.d.morrison and at lois.martin.54, who is here tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Lois. On Facebook. At I Found Them Rick G on X or Twitter, formerly Twitter. That's Mitchell, y'all. And of course, Kim Rowley on Facebook, who is at Kim Rowley on
Kim.
Facebook. Who's the best.
We love you.
And we love you too. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And man, I'm starting to feel it, guys. We got one episode, and then the week after we have 2 in a row. I don't even know how we're gonna tackle that last episode. If we're gonna, I think we're just gonna tackle it all in one go. Those 2 episodes, I don't see it being any other way.
Not with the holiday.
Even with the big break that we have between now and then, between now and February 24th is when supposedly The Ones Who Live is coming to your eyeballs.
But don't worry, folks. There'll be plenty of content in between, including our fun Christmas stuff, but slash not
Excuse me?
Christmas. It's just holiday. Just say holiday, Bridget. Okay,
Holiday
bye.
stuff. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you very shortly. And look out for the interview that we did with Phil McLaughlin, the director of this episode and filmmaker who made a short called Toad Boy, which hopefully we can, by the time this comes out in the blog, we can point you to a streamable copy maybe, or at least have it show in a city near you. So take care. Good night. We'll see you very soon. And hey, I'm loving Fear so far. I'm really enjoying it. And so let's keep that fanfare going. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Hi, guys. I have a story to tell about Elvis because you guys talked about Elvis earlier. It's really quick. So, when my brother was not born yet, my dad was driving and he said to my mom, I really want to pick a regal name because my dad was British. And he's like, I want like a really regal name, something kingly. And from the back seat, 4-year-old Bridget goes, name the baby Elvis. And my mom was like, why? And I was like, because he's the king. It's a good story.
And
Okay,
that's
bye.
why she is on this podcast, because she'll say things like that all the time. Have you not noticed?
Okay, bye, guys.